So after we went 653, 229.77, 230, we came into the final round, and on that final round, it smoked at the big end, but it was still running and everything was fine, but it was on fire. Because if you look back at that video, I talk about how the oil filter cap came off and dumped oil all over everything. Well, it was still running and everything, but there's oil all over headers, so we pulled it back, we shot the rest of the video, and turns out we hurt it. I am gonna show you the craziest looking hurt piston, and I'm gonna explain to you why it happened, how it happens, and how you can prevent that kind of stuff from happening to your combination, no matter what it is. So now I'm gonna show you this piston, and it is crazy looking, and I'll explain exactly what's going on with this deal. So let's take this thing out. I already took the cap off of it, and so I'll take this thing out. Now you can see again, it's no real damage up on the crown. Here's the piston. I mean, you can see, yeah, there's a little bit of burn right there, but it's not torched. It's not burnt all the way across. But until you look at that, that is pretty crazy. There was a pin button right there. I'll show you where that's at. It was still in there. I got it sitting over there on the bench. But what is happening here is, this is a good indication right here. Notice that there's no burn. It's not burnt there, not burnt there. Where's the ring land? The problem with these pistons, it's not a manufacturer's problem. It would have done it in anything. And I got to be honest with you. I did hit the scramble button on that last pass. We had just gone 229.77, went 653, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna hit the scramble button and I'm gonna go 640 at over 230. I hit the scramble button, so this thing was making 55 pounds of boost. That's 55 pounds of boost in twin 98s on a 572 cubic inch engine. We're leaning on her. Well, we're making, that's wrong terminology. We're not leaning on it. We are making a lot of power, and power brake stuff. So what I like to share with everybody, and why I even do these videos, is so we break big stuff, and all these problems with engines like this relate all the way down to your 1,000 horsepower LS, to your junkyard LS. All these, or small block Chevrolets in particular. Anything that has a piston pin height problem. So we learn from breaking big stuff, and that's why I share all these things with you. So what happens here is that ring land material is not thick enough. It's not thick enough because my piston pin height is too high. I need to shorten up this connecting rod so I can move this piston pin height down, so I can make more ring land material up here to hold that kind of cylinder pressure. So it's not tune-up related, it's horsepower related. We need to make a change so we can make even more horsepower in this application. Now you get into my 540 SMX or my 525 SMX, they have more material right here. This has 4.5 inch stroke, which actually takes 125 thousandths of material away from that ring land right there. So it makes this particular piston, this particular combination weaker in that big boost levels. And so I'm gonna have to do a piston redesign and a little bit of a connecting rod, where I'm gonna actually shorten up this connecting rod, because there's nothing I can do about the ring package when the piston pin is right there. When the piston pin is moved down, the only way we can do that is to use a shorter connecting rod. This whole ring package gets stiffer and more supported and stronger. So let me show you a couple other little things on the bearing of how we determine that our tune-up is good. If you go back to our Steve Tech videos, I show you how to, in bearing section, show you how to measure bearings. This is the soft rod bearing. And what the soft rod bearing is intended to do is it actually squishes out as you lean on it and make more and more horsepower. It actually squishes this bearing out. This bearing is the bearing that came out of this rod. Okay, so we look at this, we measure it to see how much it has squished out. This is 61 thousandths thick. This is a brand new bearing, and it is 62 thousandths thick. So it's squished out a thousandths, which means we're making power. We're making, you know, we're starting to get after it. But if this thing has detonated or done a lot of big damage, man, it will squish this bearing way out. I mean, and it'll just open up clearances, and it's a really good indication that, oh yeah, there's a problem. So when you see pans off in the pro mod pits and they're checking bearings or moving bearings, it's exactly what they're looking for. They're seeing how good their tune-up is by how much their bearing is getting squished out. So that's just some good tech for you. This piston pin height deal is really critical. We want to see, I'd like to see 1.25, you know, 1.25 to 1.30 of piston pin height. So that's 1 inch, 300 thousandths is a really good number. 1 inch, 250 is a pretty good number. 1 inch, 200 is getting down there. Anything that's got like a 1 inch pin height or a 100 pin height, you're gonna have problems if you're really leaning on it, trying to make horsepower. Loses control of the ring, it'll end up breaking the ring lands, it'll have a lot of problems. But it's not tune-up related, it's horsepower related, and it's a mechanical problem with not enough material there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take the rest of the pistons and rods out of this, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find that we have a couple of other broken pistons in there where they haven't burned through, but you can really see that, oh yeah, it broke. And why it breaks is because there's not enough material there. So let's take these pistons and rods out. Alrighty, so just got all the pistons and rods out of here. Crankshaft. This is the rod that, or I'm sorry, this is the piston that got all destroyed, and it sent all. It's really interesting because it sends all of that torched material right into the oil pans. I mean, it's just full of grit and nastiness, but I mean, crankshaft's still nice, no problems with that, which I already knew that. So let's go over here and look at the pistons and see if we got any other broken ones. So this one is, the ring lands are moving, or the rings move nice in there. I don't see that that one's broke. That is in number 5. This is number 7. I've actually had this before, and it will literally just have pieces of ringland fall out of it, and in particular when I didn't have a button in it. And it might be actually, if it doesn't have a bunch of broken pistons, I might actually feel better about it, because it is very possible that that cylinder makes a little more power, has a little bit of a problem. That kind of stuff I can fix, but I'm still gonna make this better by shortening up that rod and making this material thicker in between. It's just so thin right there, especially that top ringland gets a lot of pressure, right? So it forces it down, which if it needs to force it right up against the second ring if this material is not thick enough, and then there's no support on the second ring to the third ring. It's really thin right there, so it just tries to push it right through. But so far those look good. Oh, by the way, this has, you'll see damage like on this piston right here, and even on all the connecting rods, because I haven't done anything with this engine since after we went through sick week. If you go back to the videos, you'll see that we ran all the sick week, and on day 2, I think it was, I checked the oil filter, and it's like, oh crap, it's all full of oil, or all full of material, and took the pan off of it, and the windage tray had come out and was flailing around in there, and all the bolts from the windage tray were doing this. You can see there's thread material there. So I had never fixed this. It wasn't hurt. So it's like, all right, screw it. We'll just continue running this thing. I'm going to replace all this stuff anyways. I want to do some more testing and more running on this. Do exactly what we did. Go super fast. And then I was just going to replace all this stuff anyways. So it doesn't really matter. But that's why you're seeing all this trash and all these dings on everything, is because the windage tray came loose back on 6 weeks. So this whole entire engine has about 1,000 miles on it. And 1,000 miles on it's gone 650s at 230 mile an hour after going, you know, 1,000 some odd miles. So this piston looks pretty good too. I don't see any breaks or cracks in it. And this one is looking pretty good too. I'm gonna be really surprised if there's nothing broke in this deal, to tell you the 100% truth. A little bit of scuff there, but that's not a big deal. Okay, wow. I might be wrong here. This thing might not... I really thought I was going to find a bunch more broken pistons. It might just be that one just gave up the ghost right there when I hit the scramble button, but might be leaning on that cylinder just a little bit harder than the rest of these. Well, I was wrong. You can see here, bearings look pretty decent for something that's been run that much. A little bit of trash going through. You can see a little bit of squish on it. That's all pretty normal stuff. But actually a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. We're just going to replace all this junk anyways, and just going to hone that block and put this thing back together, touch up my valve job right here, and we'll be back out doing it. And I'll probably take a look at this number 3 cylinder and make sure, because the EGTs look good. It was cool, and might just have a little bit of issue there, but I still will be, because I've seen this before, I'm still going to be getting after this piston rod combination where I can get a little more ring stack. I wanted to tell you, because these weren't broke, but I'm going to show you what it does look like when they are and what I was expecting to see. This is actually a piston and rod combination out of Eric Bain and Manny Alvarez's No Prep King car, and or the list car. Now take a look at there, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. And did not have pin buttons in that particular application because it's pretty old. And but this is a 41X combination, but it uses the same piston and rod in it as it does in my SMX. But you can see right there, no support, and it blows that ring out because it all gets pushed down. So the top ring can't control 100% of the cylinder pressure, so it always is going to get caught on the second ring. The second ring doesn't have enough material there, gets pushed down, squishes that whole thing out. So this thing, if it would have been run any further, or if he hits the scramble button, they don't lean on this as hard as what I'm leaning on it. If they would have hit the scramble button, it probably would have looked like that. So, because it probably went away right there was the very first spot that it did. Anyways, we're gonna put this thing back together, go out and hit it. Make sure you like, subscribe, go to our website if you want to get some cool merch, like the flag shirts or wagon shirts. Just run right over there, but make sure you like and subscribe. I'm Steve Morris, Steve Morris Engines.